Jared says, is saving for a house any better than putting it all in super and renting forever with current price? I'm assuming the current price of houses. If you could afford a house, it's generally better to own a home because you're always going to need somewhere to live, and it's good to have a home that you own. But if that's not an option, it's too expensive and you can't get into the market, then it is another option to just put money into super and rent long term. But often it is good to own a property to live in. You might look at a cheaper location or a smaller property or factor something in, but generally it's good to own a property. The other advantage of owning your own property is that if you're able to live in it, it's a tax-free investment because your primary place of residence does not incur capital gains tax. So if you buy a home for $400,000 and sell it for $800,000 and you've lived in it, it's your primary place of residence, you don't pay any tax on that gain. Whereas until you reach your preservation age and can move to pension phase, you pay 15% tax on your superannuation earnings. So if you can buy a home, I think it is generally better. I have considered a couple of strategies recently where people who can't afford to own their own home have considered setting up their own self-managed super fund, putting their superannuation balance into that fund and then buying a home through it, with the idea that when they reach their age at which they can access their super, they've hopefully paid that money off with all their contributions that they've made through their employment and other contributions, and at that point in time at which they can access their money in their super fund, they then transfer the money out of their transfer the property outside of their self-managed super fund, and then they can live in it. But you can't live in it whilst it's in your super fund. It is a little bit higher risk because superannuation rules might change. It's a bit of a costly structure to manage, but a few people have considered. But it is better if you can own your home now outside of super than going down that track. Hopefully that helps, Jared.